Okay. So we're going to start with a very little bit, like literally a 1 or 2 minute grounding, centering, connecting exercise. I like to do this, especially because it's a virtual call and we're all distributed in different parts of the world. So if you can join me with this, we'll do it together. Okay. So we close our eyes. Take a deep breath in. Fill up your lungs. Breathe out. Take another deep breath in, filling up your lungs. Taking a moment to just become present with your body, to notice how it's feeling today, to allow your body to feel relaxed, safe. And if you feel like, even say a thank you to your body for just sitting still and allowing us to do this work, to have this conversation. Taking another deep breath in, filling up your lungs, breathing out. And this time, I invite you to bring your attention to your mind, your inner world, the world of thoughts and emotions. And just notice what all is there. Notice if there's any clutter, chitter-chatter, stuff that's carried on from the morning, from yesterday. And be willing to put as much of this aside as you can so that you can create space inside of your mind for the exploration and inquiry that we are going to be doing now. Taking another deep breath in, filling up your lungs, breathing out. And this time I invite you to connect with the most strong, creative, and resourceful part of you that you can access in this moment. You know this part of you? I want you to consciously invite this part of you into the driving seat of your mind right now. Breathing in and out again if you need to. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay. Lovely. So welcome again. Now, most of you are here because you have signed up for the Career Alchemy program in the self-paced mode, and which you will have access to. And I hope that you've got an email introduction letting you know how to access the dashboard. And I hope you've also gone in and started looking at the modules. Sometime during today's call, I'll also do a screen share and just take you through in case there's someone who's not yet done that. Now, this morning, I had an intuition to, because there were spaces on this call, to open up this call to other people in my WhatsApp groups as well. So some of you might also be here, even if you've not chosen the 6-month self-paced Career Alchemy program, and you're most welcome again. I have no idea personally why I got that intuition, but I'm sure that if you're here, there's something that you're going to get out of it. In any case, this is going to be an introductory call. We're just going to really talk about the whole idea of inner sovereignty and how it operates in the world and in our world of work. And then we are going to make this interactive and have question and answer. So I hope that you make the best use of this call that you want to. And of course, if you want to join the Career Alchemy program, which is currently at a 90% off because of Independence Day, I'll keep it open for another 24 hours. But that's just an FYI in case that's the reason you've sort of joined this call as well. Okay, so we're going to keep this interactive. So for, in the call, you have lots of videos by me. So you have an introductory module where I talk about the inner sovereignty, process itself in detail. So rather than hear just from me one way, I want to make this interactive. So we're all going to share and we're going to co-create today's session together. So we're going to start with a question. So I'm going to ask you a question, right? So let's throw all the jargon out of the word. can you think of a time in your career, in your life, and this doesn't, a lot of these principles, by the way, that you'll come across are applicable to anything. You can use it for sports, you can use it for life, you can use it career, work, relationships, right? So we are, of course, we'll be looking more at work. But right now, just think of a time in your life where you felt something was going on in your life outside, which maybe you didn't like, or it was not acceptable for you, or it made you irritated, or you was like, ye nahi chalta hai. It could also be a health problem, right? Something. And then you decided to change something inside of you, right? So it could be a attitude, a belief, a way of doing, right? Or an emotion, or your part of a relationship with another that's still in your inner world. So you decided to work on that, you changed that, and then whatever was happening outside changed, it transformed. So does anyone have any experiences like that? We'd like to hear from you. And of course, when you share your experience, I mean, you could share it for an entire 1 hour, like if it is a rich experience. But for this course, this session, make it a summary. Give us a summary share. Okay, so.
Yeah, there was a time when I was very, shy, not to talk to any people. I was at desk. Even for 2 minutes, if I go out of the desk, I used to feel fidgety. But, later I felt that there was like a lot of stress inside. So that's when I made a conscious choice to go out with people, even for a cup of tea. That's when I at least go out with people. I have a chit chat. That at least, give some relief. Otherwise I was stuck to the desk most of the time. Very early in my career, not, but yeah, that was one.
So thank you. Yeah. So basically what you changed inside was that conscious choice that I'm going to push myself a little more, right? Your attitude, your initiative. I won't wait to be asked. I will do it. And then when you started doing that, obviously you saw that your actions in the outside world is changing, right? Thank you. Anyone else?
I can share something which happened very recently. So I was very stuck in my career in terms of so I'm a researcher, I'm a professor, and sort of publications is sort of the currency of our field. And I wasn't getting any of the publications that I've been working on for years. And what change I made was I just really kind of did a lot of deep reflection on what is it that I want to create through my work. And actually, I didn't do anything directly with working on my publications, but I felt like when I got the clarity on what is it that I wanted to do as a professor, as a researcher, it strangely kind of I felt a lot better. But in that process, what also happened is a lot of things that were stuck kind of became unstuck, and then the output sort of became very much higher. And it was sort of weird for me because I didn't really do anything directly with that, but I did some internal work, and that seemed to have cleared some blocks in the external world. So that's interesting.
Thank you, Gauri. I resonate with that. How many people resonate with what Gauri shared in your own version, right? Some other work, some other project. Yes. And Gauri, I'm with you. Like, even though today I understand what, I'd like to call the physics of how this happens. Every time it happens to me, it still feels like magic and miracle. I'm like, wow, what I did was just sit down, work on myself, and look, this thing outside cleared out. And yes. So, and of course, when, this is part of your journey. So in the Career Alchemy course, there is an addition. So let me start taking you a bit through the course itself. Like for those of you who open the portal and seen, there are main modules and then there are additional modules. So in one of these additional modules, you'll have a video series of how. So this is an additional module. So in terms of inner sovereignty, how this happens, if you're interested in how, when we change things outside, would things change things inside, or things outside actually change, that is there. There's a 14-part video series actually. But the good news is also for those of you who are here saying, you know what, and I know some of you have been writing into me, how much time do I need? Can I do like 1 or 2 hours a week on a weekend and can I still do this? And I'm saying yes, because then what you do, if you have time as a constraint, you just do the main modules. You don't worry about the how. You just decide that somebody has figured out, people, not me, lots of other people have figured out that this works. Without knowing how it works, you can still do it, right? Without knowing how the machinery of your car works, you can still use your car to get from place A to place B, which I've just started doing. So, so that's the good news, right? You don't have to understand, but if you want to, you can. Let's hear from a couple of more people, if you have something to share.
Hi, Ramya.
Hello.
I have been focusing on gratitude, from the start of this year, and my psychologist recommended that, if you every moment, if you can be grateful, basically, so I started looking at my inner voice and started making it a little more positive. And yes, that made me more peaceful and satisfied. And yeah, positivity is going on. So yeah, I listen to a lot of these Instagrams on manifestation, affirmation, visualization, etc. So I think it's moving in the right direction, this inner work. And I have stopped chasing people or things. I've just started being happy with myself. So that has helped.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Mona Lisa. And indeed, so gratitude logging is something, it's something that has changed and transformed my life also. So gratitude, what do we mean, right? So we have a lens, we have a choice, we have an awareness. What do we notice in any moment, and what is the internal narrative? So it is really inner work, right? It's an inner shift, like what we did before this call. We said we'll bring our creative and resourceful person into the driving seat, like that, right? So what is the lens? What is the specs I'm choosing to wear in my inner world? And it can make a huge difference. Again, the physics of that you explained in an optional resource, but you can just start practicing it. We're going to be looking at in this course at even other kinds of, perception changes, choices, mental models, all of that. And that is really what we mean by inner work. So thank you for that example. And let's take one more person.
Yeah, I can actually share. So I would say, a couple of years back when we were coming out of COVID, I was actually feeling, life is very boring. The work is actually getting monotonous and things like that. So I've actually read a lot about designing life, designing your habits and things like that. So I started probably some of your influence as well, Ramya, in the videos that I've seen. So then I started putting hey, this is how my routine should look, literally like designing what I will do, how I will actually spend my day, which days I will go to the office, what kind of workout I will do. So that habits actually help to, work internally. And then that I had a lot of effect in terms of how I would approach the day, how I would enjoy it, and things like that.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing, Karthik. Absolutely. Okay. So I think very nice, right? So I think collectively we all have an idea of this is what we're talking about as the inside out approach. It's not the movie, but but really, and the reason I don't want to call it only an inner work approach is because there was a time in my life, and I'll be honest, where I was very, very, very invested in inner work and really, I won't say lazy, but I'll say disconnected in terms of that inner work translating into outer work. So let me explain what, right? So I have been meditating since I was I think 19 or 20 or something, right? Even but it was a separate practice. It was my inner work was a separate practice. That was a separate Ramya who would sit on the mat, do that, attend I was a lot into Indian scriptures, attend the Gita classes, the Veda. That was a separate Ramya. And then doing all that inner work. Then there was a separate or different Ramya who was actually talking to people, her professors, that was a student then, her friends, doing the activities, playing basketball, going to classes, doing choreography. And there wasn't, and then when I would get really tired or fatigued or something, I would come here, do this out, and then go back and then do that. And when I was doing that, I was doing it more along, just like what everyone else is saying, doing completely sort of just mirroring the like peer pressure, the reality, all of that. And that sort of dual thing, I lived there for quite some time. And that itself is also good because I had this place to come back to replenish myself, right? To refill and go. But I wasn't connecting the inner work with what I wanted to do or where I wanted to go with my outer work, right? So I wasn't, is this making sense, right? So I had this reality, yeah, and then I had this. So, and here I was doing the inner work. So right. I mean, then of course, slowly, with more and more integrating, that dichotomy has gone now in my life. It's completely gone, right? So whatever I'm doing outside, whatever it is, whether it's parenting, whether it's working, whether it's related to my dog, my farmhouse, learning driving, something I did, something, relationships, relatives, whatever it is, clothes shopping, makeup, something I keep struggling with, anything. In that, for me, within that activity itself, there is the inner work, because in that activity are beliefs, in that activity are my attitudes, in that activity, and I'm just going to bring in the G word, God, because I've played with different things, and for me, God resonates. I'll use that word. Please don't think this is about any kind of religion. You can use universe, you can use your own inner self, or higher self, or whatever. So I know the word God offends people. Okay, I'll try and use the word inner self or higher self. Okay. So in that activity itself, I find place and I pull in and anchor myself with that inner self, higher self, right? So that is the inside out approach, which and the reason I'm saying this is, now this is what I'm going to encourage all of you to follow also through the program and the course, right? Now, why is this? Because you want it to be integrated, and this is where I've seen the most results. Okay, and this is where the results that are happening, then they have increased the, what word can I use? I'll use the word sacredness of my inner practices. When I started grounding it and making it relevant to my outer work, however material or mundane or worldly that outer work might be, seriously. So if I'm sitting here, when the two worlds were different, if I'm sitting here and I'm doing my chanting, or I'm doing my prayer, or I'm doing my meditation, or whatever, and then I'm like here going to a beauty parlor and getting a haircut, or I'm saying this is a very worldly thing and all that, these are separate. Now, if I'm going to do this, and in that I am actually bringing in my inner world, it actually has refined my practice of the inner work. It has made it very real, very true. It has showed me my own blind spots. It has helped me own those, for lack of other words, I'll call it rituals or practices, which I might have been doing in a very, very mechanical way and not owning, because now it's become about me. It's become about my real life, what I am doing. Okay, so that's where I found that this inner work and outer work can really, they help one another. It is not one against the other, right? So it's not about, okay, I don't have time for inner work because my outer work and the stresses I'm facing, or the challenging people, or the difficult people, or the difficulties of work, and all of that is so much. So I've heard people saying, I'm going through so much, I'm in a survival zone. Trust me, I'm also like, right now I have 8 people in my family, in my house living, right? Okay, 7 people and 1 dog. And so and I'm working, I have a portfolio career, so I'm dealing with lots of people, right? I have clients. There is a lot going on in the outer work. So I have people saying, I have so much going on here, I have no time to sit down and meditate. So I'm saying, no, don't say that this one is coming at the cost of this one. This one is what is going to make this one better. And I have no other way of explaining this, especially when, I like put this program, for example, people were asking me, how much time do I need to invest? I was like, please don't think of it as time that you're taking away from your other work, because this is going to be time you invest in how you do your outer work also. Okay. So I see some hands up. We'll take those questions. So just to come back again, the inside out approach. So what you will see in this curriculum, and if you've started it already, the 10 modules, they are all about inner work, but ingrained in the practices are also the outer work. And I focus more on inner work because there are lots of resources and lots of things I'll be pointing to them. There are lots of, stuff out there that can help you in the outer work. So we cover it minimally, but I want you to keep integrating it. Okay. So you're not taking yourself away. Okay, let's take some questions and actually make this interactive. Like I said, it will be Kruti.
Hi, Ramya. I just wanted to ask, how does this integration look like specifically when you said in the example of like, say, going to a haircut or doing otherworldly things? Like,
Yeah.
I am trying to just think of it of,
Absolutely. Okay, so great. Let's take the haircut example. Apologies if it sounds like a very trivial example, but believe me, it's going to be the same physics, the same principles that you'll use for anything else, right? So,
Yeah.
and I'll give you my example here, right? Someone who gets stressed, panicked, typically don't like getting haircuts, so for me, it's largely unpleasant activity, all of that. So then you inquire why. I realize it's because I feel judged and I feel criticized, when I go and sit on that seat, and then there is this external notion of beauty and and usually it always happens. Arey, madam, kya hai? Aap take. So there's all this blame. You're not looking after, you're not, dekho, ye hai. So I'm feeling criticized, judged, this, that, made wrong. What's the inner work? So let's open up. Let's make it interactions. So when the world outside is telling you you're at fault, you're wrong, you're not good enough, what kind of inner work will help in that situation? What would you do?
like some other questions or inquiries. She's probably trying to sell her products. It's not about me in general. It's just about, way the world operates, etc.
That's great. Yeah. So that will really help. That's her interesting point of view. Separate that. So that's step one. Very nice. And then you come to yourself. Then what kind of inner work would you use on yourself there in that moment?
So there are
So
two
do-
things. You can ignore it, and the second thing is you tell yourself that you are beautiful as you are.
Great. And you can do, and we'll build on that, Rose. So you can affirm that I'm beautiful in my way. What else am I feeling? If she's saying I'm not good enough or I've been careless or something, no, I have been trying my best, if you have, right? Or I will try. So really coming back to a place of peace, of acceptance, of knowing. And then now let me introduce the other component. So thank you, Mona Lisa. Oh, absolutely. So coming back to this sense of self. Now, if I can actually link this entire haircutting example to all the modules. So if you see, this will be actually module 9, where we're talking about, we are affirming our sense of I am, which you'll do through a tree exercise. Okay. And before that, if you see in the earlier modules, we do things like redefining success, redefining work. So in this case, what would you need to redefine? Beauty. What is beauty? Right? It's just a notion. What is her sense of beauty? What is my sense of beauty? What is my sense of cultural beauty? What do I want beauty to mean? Is beauty a destination, an outcome, or is beauty a process? Am I interested in that? Like, can beauty be a verb? Can beauty be a journey? What do you think? Can it? Yeah, can I have a beautiful, if I say I'm having a beautiful life, a beautiful experience, I'm looking beautiful, the journey of cutting your hair, can that be, right? So really deconstructing the mental model of what that means. And indeed, we do that with work also, right? So we do that with success, we do that with work, and this is the inside out approach. Okay. And then there is emotions that we work with. So what emotions are being worked? So we'll come back to what Mona Lisa said, where I'm feeling grateful, and she talked about positivity. I'm feeling happy. I will actually automatically engage now with that beautician or the people around in a different way. And is that going to create different results for me? Believe me, it will, right? I've experienced both. If I go and get angry and I'm afraid, I might get bullied or I might get into conflict, I might get into a fight, versus if I can actually assertively say, thank you for your opinion, but this is what I want, and this is what I like, and this is what I'd like you to do. So that is now, that is the inner work of managing my emotions, managing my stress. Yeah, so we have an entire module. I forget the name, I think it is 6 maybe, where we're saying navigate, it's called Navigating the Lizard Brain. And I am so glad, please take that very seriously, because if we don't do that, then all the other modules sort of don't work. Okay, why is that? Lizard brain is the brain, the reptilian brain that comes into our seat when we are in the fight mode, fight or flight, we panic, we're not feeling good enough, then our brain just doesn't understand things in the normal way that it would. Okay, so this is a bit of the gist. Maybe what I will do now, I don't see any, I'm going to just do a quick screen share and get through the logistics, tell you a bit about all the modules, and then we'll take some more Q&As, okay? So let's do this. Wrong screen. Which screen can you see now? Can you see Career Alchemy?
Yeah, we can see your
Yes.
homepage.
Yes.
Yeah. And can you see modules under it?
Yep.
Like the first, yeah, okay. So can you
Yes.
see? Yeah, so you said, yeah. So
Yes.
module 0. Okay, so this is an introduction to what does inner sovereignty approach mean it at all, and it's an Ask Me Anything call, a bit similar to what we're having now. So you'll find that there. And then there's a little video on navigation and logistics, and that'll be a repeat of sort of a slightly longer version of what I'm doing right now. And then after that, we go to module 1. So if you see, there's a main video. So if you click on any of this, can you see, has the video come up? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So you can see the video and then you can play it. Okay. So this is, and then you just click on the play button. So every module you'll have a main video. So if you're short of time, that's what we do. And then there's an exercise. The exercise is actually very important. That's the meat, because that's the work, right? Because otherwise it's theory. So you do the exercise. I typically recommend fortnight, because I'm also a very slow person that way, by the way. Although I will say if you want to do one per week, you can do it. It's okay. It will work, but give yourself time. Fortnight is, I mean, it's just a recommendation, okay? And then there is the bonus content, like I said, the
Ramya,
fun.
I just had a question regarding module 1.
Yeah.
So actually this exercise requires us to like use a stopwatch every 1 hour and
Yes.
record our
Your phone.
inner chatter.
Yeah.
So I practically I found it really difficult to do this exercise because I'm always like in the middle of something and then I have to stop everything again. So
I get
did-
it, you know.
yeah.
So I'll tell you what, Apurva, but do it. I mean, this is an exercise that I learned in a course called Creativity and Personal Mastery. That's when I did it first. And of course, I've modified the prompts now to work for this course a bit, but I've not modified it a whole lot. And it was taught by someone called Sri Kumar Rao when I was at London Business School. And you know, Apurva, I didn't know I was in the start of like my PhD. I hadn't started all this work. I didn't know most of this stuff then. But just doing this exercise was such a huge game changer for me. And, you know, use your mobile phone. I know it's a bit of a work. See, don't be a perfectionist. Okay, if this is for everyone. Even I didn't do it every hour. But I actually carried around a notebook and a pen. I had it, right? Which and I know people who do it on their phone itself, the more tech savvy people. So it's just about noting down whenever it beeps, how am I thinking, what am I feeling? And you know what? And I'm actually now giving you all the shortcuts, which I don't want to, because some people here might be diligent, but I give you, there are many. So don't be a perfectionist. There are shortcuts. I didn't always write it down also. Many times I would just stop in the middle. Okay, what am I thinking? What are my thoughts? And leave it there. That itself is the gift. So do it. So if you're finding it difficult, doesn't matter. So do it in whichever way you can do it for 2 weeks. And this is not everyone, don't use all the shortcuts, like I'm saying. If you can do it the way it's described in its longest form, it will contribute the most. But don't skimp it, because doing that exercise also, it's literally, and I didn't continue it after that. I did it for 2 weeks. I had friends, part of the whole program, who said, "Hum to ye karte rahenge." It's such a good thing. And you can choose to do that also. Again, I'm, self-discipline is not a high trait of mine. So I did. But I remember that 2 weeks. I remember now it's 15 years. And what it did for me was tell me, Ramya, you're walking around with all of this in your head. It made me realize, allow me to use this word because that's what it felt like to me, that I was carrying so much shit and pains and grudges and the things that I could easily criticize other people for. When I saw what was in my head, and I'm really hoping that most of you will not uncover as much darkness and things. I was like, what am I carrying around in my head? Should I just mute everyone? There's some sound. Okay, I've just muted everyone with some background sound. So it was a big awakening call for I'm walking with this. And from that point onwards, whenever I reach this stage of not looking at my inner world, right? I hardly ever do that because it's just so clear to me that the drama is all inside and there's so much drama inside. And for 15 years, I've been in the process of easing, unraveling, clearing, doing the jhadu poncha inside that itself. So whenever there's a choice for me, do I do jhadu poncha to my house and office? Do I bathe? Do I groom myself externally, or do I clean myself internally? The priority is very clear for me. This first attention, then body, then house, then surroundings, because I've seen that this is the most impactful place. Okay. So it might feel a little difficult. It's not super difficult, but it is work. Do it, Apurva. Do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that said, I will also tell you, this exercise is not there when I do workshops or even the course that I teach at IIM Bangalore PBGCO, which is parts of these. I don't make people do this because it is work. It doesn't, and you need time, solo time, right? So if somebody wants to skip this and go on to many of the modules are standalone, like the lizard brain, for example, it's a standalone module, right? I often use it in corporate workshops now. I just go in and do that, right? So you can benefit from other parts of the program, but I'm not going to encourage you to not do this because it feels like a little bit of work. Okay. And thanks, Vas. Okay. So that's the exercise, like Apurva said in the first one. I'm glad she's already started. Okay. This is the bonus content. This is really the explanation. This is the theory. You can feel free to skip it completely if you want. Okay. It will still work. Curious people can go through that. Module 2. Again, I don't recommend skipping it. It's a mindset shift. It's a huge game changer. Also feedback from Harish's cohort, the cohort that did that. And then we did some feedback in terms of which modules made the most impact and all. Bunch of people, for many people, this was the game changer. Okay. So that's the next one. And then, like I told you, now we come to mental models and frames. Okay. And we all do this. We do this through exercises. Okay. Multiple, and you need a little time to do it, which is why I'm giving you two weeks to do each of these. So this is on success, work. This one's on money, business, work, service. Now, some of you, those of you who are not freelancers or directly dealing with money, you don't have to set a price, might want to skip this. I've heard that. I would say don't skip it. Go through it fast and say, I'll come back to it when I need to. Because let's say in your world, let me stop the share and come back. I want to see your faces. The reason is it's true that this section is going to be really, really important for those of you who are setting your own prices and dealing with money in an active way and freelancing like I am, right? I have to price my products and all of that. If you're drawing sort of a salary and you're not in a place where you're really keen on negotiating that salary or changing it, you have a sarkari type job like I used to have when I am Bangalore, and there's not, you don't negotiate your salary there. And you're sort of doing your work and you're saying that money is not such a big part of my work life. And I was there, so I understand that. You might feel like this is irrelevant to me. I understand it. I would just say, just go through it very fast so that at a stage and at a time, should it become relevant, you can come back. Also, because there is also more there, just because it's not relevant, there's something called money wounds and our relationship with money and all. And these become important even in your personal relationships and things like that, not just in the world of work. So it's always nice, even if you're not, really tying your work to money, it's good to have that ease, and it's good to do a little bit of what I'm going to keep calling the Jhadu Poncha and healing and clearing out, right, with those mental models. So that one. Coming back again, let's come back to this. Okay, then we have the maneuvering your lizard brain. Yeah, this is really basically it's stress management. Okay, and exercises. Then this is about failure, resilience, navigating that. Two kinds of resilience that we talk about, inner resilience and outer resilience. I haven't made. Is my dog disturbing you? Okay, I haven't made any of these optional here because it's all important. It's not too long. Then one of them talked about, okay, give me a minute. The dog. Okay. So, so one of you talked about inner voices, right? The voices in our head. So this will, if you've done the mental chatter, again, exercise, the one Apura was talking about in module 1, this one, when we come to module 8 about co-working with inner voices, whether it's the voice of our inner child, our inner mentor, which is a voice that you will consciously create, or the inner critic, or the inner jailer, or the imposter syndrome, you'll have an upfoot, right? Because the ways of dealing with this will all build on on awareness, being able to recognize and separate yourself from the voice in your head. And that is something that you would have started doing in the module 1 itself. Okay, is this making sense? Yeah. So, and this is what we do here. Now, just again, a disclaimer, and this is again feedback that we've got from people who did it with Harish's voice. This should probably not have been 1 module. It should have been 3 modules. Now, I mean, I just collapsed things because I wanted 10 modules. But if you want to take your time with this and do inner child for an entire week and inner mentor for a week and then inner critic, please take your time. Okay. So this is again, me maybe trying to collapse too many things into one. Gauri, yes, unmute.
Ramya, I had a question if there is a specific order that you recommend in doing this, or should we go to the module that seems most relevant at the moment? Because, I mean, as you were talking about it, I felt like, okay, I really need to go to the lizard brain and this dealing with stress module at the moment, because that's where like I'm at right now, to like even be able to think logically, forget about creatively, right? I need to just just have some strategies to calm myself first, because I'm dealing with a 9-month-old baby and coming back to work. Both of us working from home, not having family around, and it's just constant stress and overwhelm. So yeah, that was my question.
So I hear you, and Gary, go for it. Start with a lizard brain. And this is not just for Gauri, but anyone. Please trust your intuition. And while there is, I do make the cross references, and that's sort of built into the way I'm cross referencing because I put it into a linear format. Most of you are going to be able to do the mapping yourself. And of course, the lizard brain, you can absolutely start with it. And yes, you can go in any order. I mean, if you're not getting a strong intuition from inside, I would say follow the standard order because somebody has put their brain, I've put my brain too, okay, fine, this order kind of makes sense. But if you're getting an intuitive call, please honor that. And I don't read almost any book in order. I always usually land up going this chapter, and please go with it. Okay. Then module 9. This again can be a completely standalone. I do this actually sometimes in workshops, again in corporate workshops, I do this a lot. This is a standalone. Don't do anything else, right? Nothing about inner work, nothing. Just directly going into leveraging us as the unique people that we are. Okay. There's again a lot here. I know there's a lot. If there's a main one here, main video, think of this as if you are really short of time, you can just do that and literally ignore everything else. Do the main video and the exercise, right? If you have time, you have curiosity, there's a lot that you can gain from every other thing that has been added here, right? It's all about working on the self. So you can again do it in a very compact way and you will still get benefit. And you can do it in the longer way. You can also do it in a compact way today and then come back later to do the references. Also, I will let you know, while I say it's 6 months, you actually, if you've logged in, you'll see that you have lifetime access. I don't use that word lifetime access in the emails or the promotion or formally because I frankly don't know how long I'm going to manage the platform because I also am running a business and I pay for the platform and the hosting and all of that. So I don't want to make lifetime commitments to anyone. Last of all, my beautiful clients. And also, if I say lifetime access, there's a temptation that you'll say, kabhi bhi kar lenge, and there'll always be something more urgent. So which is why, I'm saying go at your own pace. You're not going to lose access to it, but I really recommend that you do it in 6 months. And if you want to stretch it beyond that, also take your time, right? I'm not in any hurry to close down the platform or anything like that, but I don't use the word lifetime because of that. Okay. Module 10, this is where we come into goals, visioning. It's a goal setting is a double-edged sword, and that's why I've put it in the end. Again, like if you're looking at order, I have done workshops on goal setting as a standalone, right? You just get in and you start because they're very powerful. It's again, just my intuition that I brought it in right at the end because I sort of we can make goal setting and visions work for us and against us. And yours truly has done both. So goals are double-edged swords. So I just felt that something that has such strong pros and cons, let's bring it in at the end where we've done all the, more the fortifying work before that. So that should we use goal setting against us, and many of us might, I've done it multiple times. We already have built resilience and, we know we have within us resources to overcome whatever pits we might get ourselves into, right? As a result of goal setting and visioning. Okay, let me take a short pause here and because I see some puzzled faces. While we won't get into all of that, I'm going to ask you, when I say that goal setting and visioning is a double-edged sword and we can use it to get us to sometimes dig ourselves into pits or get into more problems, who here resonates with that? And who here has done that in their own life so far? Used either goal setting or visioning in a way that in hindsight you were like, okay, I'm not so sure if I was actually helping myself or not.
Yeah, directly jumping into the goal. Maybe you are tempted by some others, right? You're influenced by other people also.
Exactly. It can be influenced by other people. It can be fear-based. It can be fad-based. It can be impulse-based. And goals are so powerful. Visions are so powerful. And this is what, if Mona Lisa used the word manifesting, so this is the new age term for it. Literally, when you create a vision board, it's a goal, it's a vision, and you're, sort of bringing it into your awareness again and again, or you can create this internally. The universe delivers. Why? Because it creates our focus, we start taking efforts towards it, and that's how it works, right? It's not magic. That's the inner work. That's the, the physics series that I told you, Managing Our Inner Worlds. It works. You'll start moving in that direction. But like one of you just shared, you might not have actually created those goals from a thoughtful, deeper, more important place. In which case, many times after achieving those goals and visions, you're like, now what? I'm more bored than ever. Or sometimes you might land up making sacrifices or choices that you later regret. And that's also happened to yours truly. So, which is why but I'm not someone to give up on it. It is a tool again. It is a tool. If you want to live in the world, you want to move, you want to make things happen. If there are tools that you can do your gardening with, of course you'll use them. But yeah, there is a danger that if you don't use it properly, you might use it against you. So, which is what we get to there. Okay, now I'm bored of hearing my own voice. Harish, let's hear from Harish. Okay, so Harish was really sweet. He said, and this is where, he messaged me and he said, I'm happy to come and talk about my experience and, talk about this program. And yeah, and I said, that's going to be useful. And it's going to be useful for those of you who've signed up because the version that Harish and others in his cohort, and there might be a few others here, I saw some names. I'm not seeing the videos, so not sure. They're still around. So I was doing live calls with them. So I was there in some ways to also give the motivation pep talks, ki karo, 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 right? I'm not going to be doing that with you all. You're going to be engaging on this in a self-paced mode. So let's hear from Harish.
Okay, thank you, Ramya. And I'll also try to keep it short, but I'll try to pour all my passion and channel something, right? So I don't know what comes. So just to give you some context, right? Like I myself have done a lot of inner work, I've been on a spiritual journey for the last 20 years. And of course, everybody's inner work is very different, right? So Ramya's journey is very different from mine. And when I joined your program, I love learning from anyone, right? I'm a coach myself, right? So for myself, for my clients, and that was probably the reason I started the journey. And just so one thing I will say is inner work is like the foundation of life, right? It is not a 6-month program or a, year-long program or, 2 years program or something like that. This is foundation of life, right? And although the way I look at the program is, even though Ramya calls it career alchemy, right? I really feel like, it's really up to you. It's more like life alchemy, right? Career is just one part of life, and we don't have to separate. Just like how she was saying that we like to separate our inner work and outer things, or we like to separate life into career and health and relationships and money and this and that. This is just language, semantics. There is no such thing. Everything is interconnected, right? So in some ways, the inner work is like foundation. So you could use it and channel it for your career. You could also use it for any aspect of your life, right? So I look at the program as a much more holistic kind of this thing that you could use for whatever you want to do, right? That's the first thing, right? And after doing the program, I can attest to that, right? The modules are very detailed. She is really, this is her life's work. She has put in a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of thought, right, into how she's designed this, right? The other thing about I'd like to say is, now when you say career alchemy, as she said, some of you might be in like jobs, right, where you're, working for a company, some of you might be entrepreneurs, some of you might be in jobs, but maybe you could be entrepreneurs, right? Or maybe you want to do something on your own, freelancers, right? I feel like this can be useful for anyone. It doesn't matter what, So even if you have no desire to build a portfolio career necessarily, like, Ramya is doing, or like, I'm also on the path of doing that, right? It doesn't matter. Even if you're working in an organization and within your particular setup, it could still benefit you a lot, right? And if you do wish to build a portfolio career, it could also open up sort of doors, right? And also there are many people who are stuck in, I don't want to use the word stuck, but let's say you've gone down a certain path and you happen to be in a certain career, but maybe you just haven't imagined other possibilities, right? So this could also open up doors for the future, right? So it really depends. It depends on your unique context, your unique sort of universe, how you want to use the material, right? All the foundation and the building blocks are there. Like how you kind of like put it together. This is art, right? So that's something just structure of the program. It's really well thought out, right? I love the exercises. They're all it's deep work, it's profound work, and as Ramya said, you can do it for a lifetime, right? Doesn't mean you postpone it, and you don't have to necessarily do it in absolutely 6 months. Also, the other idea is like, yes, we all have a lot going on. We're all overwhelmed, a lot of things to manage, right? Everyone has so many different commitments, right? But also making this a priority, right? Making somewhere like saying that this is also important, right? And how it will translate into everything in life, right? It's useful work, and the earlier you start, it is better, right? And one thing about any program, right? So since I'm also doing this work, right? The one thing is to really invest. It's not about investing your money, right? The greatest investment is yourself. You are the greatest asset. You are your greatest asset, not the other things you own or other things you this thing and all that, right? So investing in yourself. So how can I put my heart and soul into something, right? So only if you put your heart and soul into any program, whether it is this program or any other program, will you see real transformation, lasting transformation, right? So really to do something with dedication, not just sign up for a program and then do a little bit and then and of course motivation wanes, our constraints come in, life gets in the way, right? But still having a resolve, saying that I've chosen to embark on this journey, it is for myself, right? And this whole beautiful thing about this work is it's not just for yourself. Once you are able to put things into practice, right? And sort of then it'll touch everything. It'll touch others around you. It'll touch your world, your universe, right? So in some way, you go from living a very limited sort of this thing to a much more expansive and purpose-driven sort of existence, right? And that's a journey. It's a process, right? The other thing I'd like to sort of maybe say is take your time. There is no rush, right? Take your time. Be patient. Things take time, right? So you can't be impatient and saying that when will I see maybe tangible results, right? You have to internalize, right? So all the exercises are designed in such a way that you can always revisit them at different points of time. So you could do the exercise, let's say now, right? And maybe you could do them, 4 months later, or, maybe 6 months later, or maybe 2 years later, right? And you can see how you're evolving, right? It's a process, right? So there is no rush, enjoy the process. The process of inner work and the process of transformation need not be something very serious, right? I would like everyone to be like playful. Playfulness is next to godliness. And we have forgotten how to play. We've become too serious, right? This should be fun, right? Even if it is difficult, it is difficult. It is challenging, right? That's why many people don't do it, right? But it's beautiful work, and also as Ramya said, the order for me, at least personally, through my sort of this thing, it didn't matter so much. I think she has structured it so much well as kind of more independent units that I could really pick. For example, you could pick the module on, let's say, redefining success, right? And that's a very standalone kind of thing. There might be a little bit of cross references here and there, but I found a lot of the modules that are almost independent units. So just go with your intuition. If you want to go somewhere else, or you maybe start somewhere, you go in a sequence, you want to go somewhere else, feel free to do that, right? We, of course, in our this thing, we had a cohort and we had a pod group, right? And we were assigned, people, things like that, right? But if you want to make this interesting for yourself, you can just do it with somebody else, right? You pick your person, right? It could be somebody, it could be people right now. Is there a community, Ramya, where all the people are sort of?
Yeah, no, I'll just talk about that.
Sure.
Should I say it right away? And maybe I'll say it right away and then hand it.
Right.
Thank
So
you so much.
if somebody is better off doing themselves, that's also fine, right? But if you feel I want to make it more interesting, I want to bring one person in, I want to bring a few people in, right? Just make that, right? It doesn't have to be a formal kind of process where you always meet or something like that. It could be very informal kind of like sharing as well, right? So I'd say, yeah, just be committed, and if you're on the fence, just go for it. I mean, this is really, I mean, what can I say? I mean, this offer is such a, like, at least the Independence Day offer is like having a meal. What is the price you would pay for changing your life? So this is priceless work. It doesn't matter. Any good work is priceless. We have to put some value and apportion something and all that, right? So really enjoy the process, have fun. It's a beautiful program, and if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to. This is my life's work. I want all of you. I mean, whether I'm not associated with you or not, I want to see this in the world. Right? I'm super passionate about this, and I'm happy to. If you want to reach out to me, you're welcome to reach out. So anyway, thank you, Ramya.
Thank you so much, Harish. Thank you. Love your energy, and I think you're such a contribution to this call. Seriously, thank you so much. So I'm just going to build on a few of those things. One of the things that Harish talked about, which is so in that cohort, and I see Pratibha is also here. Hi, Pratibha. She was also part of the cohort where we had live calls and we had pods. Pods were groups of 3 or 4 people who were meeting up, right, in between. And again, pods also takes commitment for the pods that made it work for them. And I'll be honest, not all pods made it work. But the pods that made it work, that was magical, right? So Pratibha's here and, they'll say that, oh my God, pods was so great. So this is a beautiful journey to take with other people. Now, I'm not going to create pods because like I told you, I didn't have a great success rate in the way I created it. Some pods clicked and some did not. And I don't personally know how to create pods that are definitely going to click, which is why I'm going to leave it open to you. And I think go with like what Harish, and that's also one of the reasons. Remember the start of the call, I said, introduce yourself. So we do have a WhatsApp group where all of you are there. Not everyone who signed up has actually joined the WhatsApp group. So I'm going to, put another push on that. Maybe they didn't see it. So if you want to team up with other people, you can do it. Now I'll tell you the pros and cons of doing that. Of course, if you're in a pod, you'll have to, everyone in the pod would typically be working on the same module at the same time. So you're following the structure and the sequence rather than jumping around on your own. Or you could have a loose pod, just you and a friend. I mean, I would say just bring a friend along, right? Someone whom you know, and 2 or 3 of you. And again, discuss, share the material, the exercises, lend themselves to this interpersonal sharing, growing, multiple perspectives. It's created for, like, it really lends itself. That said, is it possible to also do it alone? And absolutely, right? Most of these things are built on things that I've used in programs. Before I always use on myself. And I'm more of a solo person. Like, I use things. So they work if you're doing it all alone also. Okay, so that's the other thing. The third thing, this material also lends itself to work with a coach. So, there is the private coaching option, which I know is listed on my website itself, but I'll also be honest that, and it has worked. I've done this entire module with a couple of people in private coaching, but I don't plan to do much of that in the future. And I was just telling Harish, in fact, now, so we are co-building a farm and I'm looking forward. I love working with people, but I'm looking forward to spending more time working with people, with the plants and nature. And I'm going to be doing less, and probably I might just taper off my one-on-one coaching altogether, because I want to work with organizations, and that's part of my mission, because the work that we're doing here. So my mission is to de-villainize work, and this work where we're inside out approach, we work with people. But it's difficult. And I see this, I know this, I feel this, and I keep hearing this with clients. We can't put all the responsibility on people. Organizational cultures also have to change. And there is work there in transforming organizational cultures and working with leaders and doing those workshops. So I'm also very, very committed to not cutting down that part of my work. So, which is why I've sort of, put all this here, and I'm going to encourage you to work on this. If you are a person who needs a coach, find your own coach, and you can work with any coach this. And in that respect, I'm also going to just please reach out to Harish. He's I think probably the only coach I know who's actually been part of the first program. So since he's been through this program and he's a coach, if anyone wants, you can always please reach out to him. Harish, can I put your details in the WhatsApp group in case anyone wants private coaching? They can reach out to you. If you already have a coach, you can also reach out to that coach, right? You can share this content with them and tell them I did this exercise and I had this insight. Now, can you help me demystify this further, work on this further? It lends itself. It lends itself to that kind of work. Okay. I'll pause now. I think we're done with an hour and take any more questions. And hi, Pratibha. I would have yeah, if there are no questions, maybe I can just spontaneously call on Pratibha also to share her thoughts, and because she's also been part of her cohort, and on how you can make this work for yourself. And Apurva had a question. Let's take that first. Yeah.
Okay. So Ramya, actually, it's related to that exercise 1 in module 1. So I think the issue that I faced was that I just don't know what to write, because normally when I write, like when I journal every day or every few days, I just write what I do. It's like, it's almost like a report in a newspaper. So I don't know if I'm really doing this exercise correctly. I mean, I don't know if other people in this group have started doing that exercise, but my personal experience is that I'm just reporting that I did this and then I did that, and I'm really not getting to the mental chatter yet.
Okay, great. So Apurva, yeah, and I think I hear you because you're a writer also. So don't think of this as writing. Think of this as, when we have fever, what we do, we stick a temperature thermometer in and we take it out and say, acha, abhi 77 hai, abhi, I don't know, 97 hai, abhi. Then we just write it down. Just short, right? Yeah. So think of it like that. So when it beeps, you're sort of just sticking that thermometer or some kind of an instrument here and saying, right now, what's in my head? Don't analyze. Don't try to look good. Don't try to look bad, anything. Right now. Okay, let me okay. Right now, what's in my head? I'm thinking about this project, or I'm angry with this person, or I'm worried about this, or I'm pained, or I'm feeling really grateful that it rained, right? Just as it is. Just observe. And it can be literally, it can be a short phrase also. That's it. And then that's why we call it mental chat. It doesn't have to make any sense, meaning it might make, right? And if there's an emotional undertone to it, it's an angry feeling. Otherwise, you can write that also. So you're just that, and then you go on, you switch off. And this is why, so it's like this real-time data check, right? And then that's why you don't visit it soon. You just take the notes in a very non-judgmental way, right? You're just checking. And I'll tell you what, I'll own, my brain is a garbage can. And most of our brains are. Don't have to take it personally. It's okay. We are trying to clean it up and make it better and all. We want to use it, but they are largely also garbage cans. So we're trying to see what is inside that garbage can. Okay. And make it work. So, and then later when you sit down, you do pattern analysis, and that's when the aha moments or anything comes, right? And then you'll see, okay, what is the nature? What is the dominant? Somebody's garbage might be full of thorns. Somebody's garbage might be more of plastic. Somebody's garbage might be whining. Somebody's garbage might be anger at the world. Somebody's garbage might be more of anger at oneself. Somebody's garbage might be regret about I've done everything wrong so far. Another person's garbage might be full of self-pity, right? We'll all have also these tones, flavors, versions to our garbage. Somebody's garbage might be, oh my God, I'm doing so much and look at the people around me. Nobody appreciates, nobody helps. Somebody else's garbage might be, nobody sees me, right? So, and I'm not saying all of these are necessarily garbage, but I'm just saying they're not very functional. And then after we've done that, then when we go into the next module, actually, so there's a bit of there, those two modules lend to each other, because then we start looking at the hero's mindset and how it can help and victim's mindset. But yeah, just start that. Okay. I see. We'll go with Sonal and then Gauri. Hi, Sonal. Long time.
Hi, Ramya. How are you? Yeah. So it's a bit, in my mind, it's a bit complicated, but yeah, it'll be nice to see what you have to say, because I just feel like, I've already lived a whole life. And in the sense that, I've had a career, I've had success, I've had a marriage, which is over, and I've had, uh, yeah, a whole life. And now, like about 10 years ago, I started doing Vipassana meditation, and I'm getting more and more into it. And somewhere, I think what resonated in the beginning is when you were talking about goals and how, goals can be a double-edged sword. So even for me, it's always this, I'm always kind of conflicted with that, because somewhere I feel like, one part of me is so ready to kind of, relax and go into this Vipassana mode and not do anything. And then somewhere, something comes knocking, and I just started doing stock trading suddenly, and I'm like, where is this coming from? And, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, is this really something I want to do? Because, as a major goal, I have something which I've set for myself, which is to start a farm in Uttarakhand, and, which hasn't happened yet. So actually find a land and do that. But at the same time, I think why it hasn't really happened yet is because I think I have certain doubts within me. Is this really what I want to do? And at an intellectual level, I know I want to do this. But at the same time, I'm always like going between those two, like you said, I'm looking at it as two things. Like there is a duality to the whole thing. So I, kind of get stuck with that.
Okay. Thank you, Sonal, for asking this. But so everyone, I'm so glad Sonal asked, because I'm going to answer her right. It sound like it's going to be a conversation between me and her, but I'm going to tell you this is going to be relevant to all of us. You'll just have your own version of farm and your own version of stock trading and your own version of Vipassana also. Okay. Okay. So, and so do I, right? So, and I totally hear you. So, and Sonal, because this is not going to be an extended coaching session or into your world, what I'll do is I'll just take the liberty of sharing how I deal with it and see which parts of that resonate with you. Okay. So, the way because I see you and me and I see me and you. Did I put it that way? I see you and me. Yeah. Right. And so much, right? And I also do Vipassana as well as, other forms of work. The way and where it stands right now for me, even though I've done the 3 exercise and the skill, a lot of what you'll do. And I have my mission and purpose, right, which is about divinizing work. I have a mission beyond that mission also. Okay, which is literally just to, I don't know, please, like, I don't know what word to use that this will not sound very boo-hoo or whatever, but to just be love and light, or be the divine, be that beingness, be that oneness. So even mission and purpose, you can think of it as in layers, right? The core, the essence. And then beyond that, what do I want to do on the planet? What do I want to do through my activities, right? What do I want to do in my relationships? So the reason I'm saying this is because then what happens, it doesn't become a dichotomy, but it becomes all these outer things or the goals and the missions, seeing if they are eventually leading inside to that. And you keep coming. And it doesn't mean that I've said this being the love and light or being the oneness or being the divinity that I do believe I truly am and that lives through me is something I'm putting away for another 10 years. Now, I'm also doing that every morning, every evening, every now. It is now, it is also for the future because it is not complete, right? Now, from that place comes the farm. Like I'm building a farm now, but the farm is not, I'm not under delusion anymore that the farm is going to make me so happy, or it's going to be the answer to all the solutions, or it's going to be my only life's work, anything. That's also going to be a vehicle, a process, a relationship, just as is my relationship with my son, my parenting, or with my spouse, or with my professional, what I'm calling professional vision. And I liked that, like Harish said, the separation is there, but the oneness is also there between the work and the life, right? So the separation is there. I call it my professional mission about devillainizing work. but the oneness is there with my core essence of who I am also. So I've not separated it out. It's like a branch. It's like a branch. So the branch is in some way separate from the tree, but it's also one with the tree, right? And so each of these things, I want to also see that they are feeding back into that inner growth. And that is how I wake up. That is what I do. And also holding them a bit loosely, which means allowing them to succeed, fail, and they will, right? So this program itself, like, and Harish and Pratibha know this, it's been an experiment. It's not all parts of it have succeeded, not all, and I'm not going to bore you with all my business details, but yeah, so, I'm like, okay, fine. How do I want to do it? Parts of it are a great success, which is also why I want to bring it forward. But is this what I'm going to be continuously doing? Am I going to keep running cohorts like I did for them? I don't think it's viable or sustainable for me as my work or business, and I may not, right? I might choose not to, but it's not going waste. I'm going to make sure that, it contributes to people, and that deeper essence and reason why I built it or got into it for contribution, for de-villainizing work continues, maybe not in the original form or avatar that I had visioned it. It may not be through this program, like, through that way. So that way I allow myself to move from things, but coming back. So Sonal, that would be my shorter answer to you here, which is, and stock trading sounds great. I would say if something's calling to you, and some of you know this because I've posted about this when I wanted to buy a Thar and start learning to drive. Can I tell you, nobody in my life supported me. Nobody. They all thought I was crazy. I have 3 boys at home and a boyish husband, and you thought they would all want it. They were like, it has taken me so much of inner work just to, forget about support. They would not even help me. No, it's a crazy idea. I am what my husband's worth would be. I am not supporting you in all your craziness. My son, I don't believe, Mama, what is this? Like, parents, not at all. Why G, my father? So sister, like nobody. But and I didn't go into overthink also. So, like I would say, but there was this inner thing. Very funnily, when I would meditate, I would get this picture of a Thar. After getting it, seeing my growth, seeing what's happening, I realized that it can seem like a very material object there. For whatever reasons, anyone thinks I get it. The way touch with this Thar, I've called it Pythagoras, is contributing to me and my growth as a person only I know. Literally, it's a piece of machinery, but it's ripping apart my inner world. Every time I take the wheel and go on the road, it's ripping apart. So, Sonal, don't judge stock trading as something very material or money or whatever it is. If you're feeling that call for it, go for it. It's another game. You and only you will later know. You will not know before, but later you might know how it's going to rip apart your work. And by people, when I say rip apart, I don't mean it as a bad thing. I think ripping apart is a good thing because, older ways of, things we want to go fall apart, crumble, and there's new parts of us that grow and evolve and grow. So Sonal, don't judge the stock trading, don't judge the farm, and don't idolize the farm. Let them both contribute to the journey of Sonal's growth. And that's all you will have at the end of the day. That's what you're on. You are on the journey of Sonal's growth, and that's it. Yeah?
Yeah. Thank you.
Love you so much. By the way, I do love Sonal. She's been in of my previous programs, and I'm like, why does Sonal come to my programs? I should probably learn from her. Okay, Gauri and then Sapna.
Thanks, Ramya. I want to say what a lovely answer. I just love that. Thank you. So my question is a little connected to what Sonal asked, but still different. So I am really struggling with prioritizing everything in my life right now, right? So before I was coming to this call, just to give you an example, I picked up my laptop and my notebook and my pen and my phone, and I have a sprain in my hand, and then things just start falling off my hands, right? So things are spilling away, and that's kind of like a great metaphor for how my life is right now. Like I'm trying to carry everything, and I feel like things are spilling away, right? So I don't have time to do my meditation, my journaling, which used to be my centering habits, which also means that perhaps I'm out of tune with my own intuition in a lot of ways. And at the same time, I feel a lot of, very strong intuition to invest in self-growth. And like, that's part of why I'm here. And to move into a portfolio career direction, which again means more things to do. So I think my question is there anything that speaks to, in the course, that speaks to how to better manage yourself? And by that, I also mean energy, time, prioritizing, because I'm called to this, but at the same time, I'm like, how am I going to find the time and energy to do yet another thing? Because my life has gone from being like just my work, my little world, to like having a baby, and it's like everything is just chaotic right now. So yeah, I just wanted to ask that question, maybe, yeah.
And I'm glad you asked. And by the way, I know some people might need to drop off, but I'm so enjoying this. I'm going to stay here, okay, as long as needed. And Gauri asked, thanks for asking this. And again, and this might seem like an answer for Gauri, but I'm sure if you're listening to this now or later, you'll find your version of this. So I hear you, Gauri, and you're not alone. I keep going there as well, okay, into this having too many things to do, hands in too many things, no time, state of overwhelm. And trust me, can you give me a minute? I'm just going to switch on the light. I think the clouds have come and I'm in a semi-open place. So when it's dark outside, it's dark. Give me a minute. Switch on some lights. Okay, hopefully that's better. Yeah. So, Gauri, there is the only way, and you know the way, you've talked about it in your own, when you were sharing right now, is to come back, maybe put a stop, pause on some of the activities, deprioritize, and come back to the self. Because when the self is not there, when that fountain of life and energy is not flowing, we cannot do anything, right? It's there. And that's sort of when, things also begin to, in my own experience, crumble outside, because in some ways it's a knock, knock, knock. You're not looking after yourself. You're just running all over. So your intuition on going to that lizard brain module is totally right, because after that, there is also a section called ADT, Attention Deficit Trait, which shows about what happens to the brain when we multitask. And there we have, there are a few best practices on how you can organize, manage time, so you come back, okay? And so please do start with that module. That's going to help you manage your time, mind, emotions, all of that really well. And also literally take those seemingly hard decisions about not doing some things outside in order to get that time to ground and start from here. I would also, this is just intuitively coming up to me. So I would say after that lizard brain, you actually, and this is also because Gauri has written to me before. And like I told you, I think I'm semi-telepathic and I can sort of, I suppose, take it for what it is. This is the intuition that's coming to me, Gauri, that after that you jump right into the chapter about leveraging your unique weirdness. Because I see so much of light and potential in you. And just that little bit of a little more courage to own it and to own your uniqueness. And what you talked about earlier about, because I've been in the academic world also, the pressure, and there's so much of judgment and rigidity there about this is good and this is success, this is failure, sort of just to really fortify you as Gauri and your strengths and your dreams and your intuitions, right? So there's a lot of literally that inner power when you talked about the energy, not just the physical, right? That would come from that module for you. And then you can go back and then look at the redefining of success and, sort of what that'll help you to separate your brain from the success of others and all. But just for you, the feeling I'm getting is that sort of fortification of that fountain of light and potential and juice that you are, to get that flowing first.
That is so weird you said that, because I had another question about confidence, and I
Yeah.
think you just answered that. So that's
Yeah.
great. Thank you. I mean, I think
Yeah.
they're really intuitive. Yeah.
And thank you, Gauri, for showing up and being you, because it's not just me or Gauri. I know there are so many of us, and I mean us here, because I know it's not everybody. There are people there and you know, going around killing people and doing other things. So not everybody is as underconfident as us, but there are tons and tons of people, and I've come across lots of beautiful people here. I'm not going to necessarily say it's a gender thing, but many times it's more women, but I'm not going to say it's only women who I believe that all of us, like Auri, me, so like we're these fountain. We're so creative. We're so amazing. And I'm sure you see that in yourself. We have so much. And yet there is this almost like this timidness, like me, like, you know, I want the Thar. I want the Thar. And then these so-called boys saying, no, you don't need a Jeep. Your first car shouldn't be this. Poor brother, right? Waiting for that approval, waiting for all of that. And finally I did it. I was like, now everyone, can I take my brother-in-law visited? Can I take your Thar for a ride? Can I? Now they all want it, right? So it's just that looking outward for that go ahead, or for that, yes, it's okay. Yes, you can follow your dreams. Yes, you deserve it. Yes, you can do it. We're just waiting. And this is like a submission, like devillainizing work. Yes, but increasing that confidence and that willingness to claim and own and live and I'm going to use the word greatness without risking the fact that you say, oh, she's so egoistic. No, it's not just me who's great. We're all great. And it's time to own that greatness and live that greatness and be that greatness fearlessly. So sorry, okay, Sapna, your question turned into an Independence Day rant.
So, Ramya, my concern is that I will be coming in my way. It sounds very abstruse, but I don't know if it's making sense to you. How do I deal with that? So,
Yeah.
if I were to just explain
I
that
will be coming in my way.
in my own way, yeah,
Yes.
and I'll be doing this course.
Yes.
So what I'll just try to explain that a bit. I feel that you know, a lot of things that I will be processing in my head are things that I would have known and tried before, and I suspect that there could be some kind of an my own inertia or my own resistance to moving ahead. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, Sapna, thank you. So first of all, this is not just Sapna. We all get in our own ways. Not just Sapna. I get in my way. Sapna gets in her way. Gauri gets in her way. Do you get it, right? We all self-sabotage. So Sapna's just really aware of it, which is step one. So Sapna, good. Your step one is done. Step two, that's also why we have coaching as a journey. So I have had coaches in the past. I've worked with coaches, found it to be a great contribution. Of course, it is more of a investment, both in terms of your time and commitment, as well as a financial investment. And only you will know, you will be the best judge of whether you are in a position to make that. Now, again, I cannot offer to coach you, and I will not, like I told you, because I am moving into, can I just use the word greener pastures here? So, but sorry, I mean, I love people, but I love plants more. So, but then I know that there are beautiful coaches. So Harish is here, but you need to do a chemistry, get on a call and see if that works. But find someone. So Sapna, one of the workarounds for this is to find someone who will walk with you and hold you accountable and call out the bluffs when you're getting in your own way. And that's literally how coaching works. If you have a good accountability partner, so like I told you, this course has been set up for self-work or work with an accountability partner and buddy also. That can also help. So if you can just pair up with at least one other person and both of you decide to hold the other one. It's like going to a gym. If you have a gym buddy or someone, haven't you realized it's so much easier? Or if you sign up for a Zumba class, rather than making sure that you do it yourself always at home. So that's how it works. And you will have you will get the guidance and you will get the direction and you'll get the material and exercises, everything in this program. And I think I've done a good thing now also by making it, so if affordable in terms of, you can have this program and you can also get a coach on top of that would be my suggestion, or an accountability buddies. Yeah. See which one works.
And Ramya, sorry, just on that, any other suggestion on how to carry it out yourself by yourself in your
Yes.
experience?
Gamify it.
So I have signed up for the program
Yeah.
already.
Yeah. So, if you want to see it, in some ways, this program is already gamified, right? In terms of the modules and all. So really, like, again, if you want to do it by yourself, what I recommend is 2 weeks per module. Again, in a particular module, if you need more, you can take more time, maybe a month on some of the ones like the inner voices. You will know when you get into it. Do it like a game. It's like, I don't know if you did this when you were in your school and exam and all, like, the way I used to study was I used to set up like these little rewards for myself. Like I do this when I do this, and the rewards would depend on who you are, where you are. Like I've had strangest rewards, like from sweets to, I remember in 12th standard, when I used to do all these physics and math problems and all, I was preparing for JEE then. I was a fan of this actor called Ajay Devgan, and I had a black and white newspaper picture of his on my table. But I would turn it around and say, I don't get to look at Ajay. I'm a teenager, so please don't judge me, okay? I don't get to look at Ajay Devgan's face unless I solve these 5 problems. And if I get at least 4 out of the 5 problems right, Ajay Devgan's photo frame or that newspaper cutout photo frame gets turned around and I get to look at his adorable face. I'm sorry if you don't find Ajay Devgan handsome. So I'm just saying your rewards can be really trivial, but the brain will cooperate, right? So find out what is your equivalent of Ajay Devgan now. Now it could be partying with friends, it could be a treat, right? So you want to set up those dopamine systems and make them work for you and get through the work, right? That way the system, it is organized. If, like Harish said, you do the exercises, you will inevitably have the breakthroughs, and they're quite tested that way, I will say. I'll tell you, a lot of these exercises were developed first for these very, very, can I use the word, hard-headed MBA students at IIM Bangalore. So most of the people here who are choosing self-development programs are already tuned into the inner work and all of that. So if they can work with MBA students, they can work with corporate CEOs, they will work beautifully with you, okay? You will get the awareness.
And could I just add something, Ramya?
Yeah.
So I think, as you're working through the program, right, there will be, if you absolutely do everything, right, all the exercises, really take the time to reflect, contemplate, right, there will be different kinds of things that sort of emerge, right? So some will be maybe just tweaks, very small shifts. Some will be just a shift in perspective or an insight, right? But there also will be deeper things that might emerge, right? For example, if you take the inner voice module or, specifically, right, there are people, maybe you have had an inner voice from like 20 years, right? And it may not be easy to kind of rewire it or reprogram it in 2 weeks, right? And it's also unreasonable. You're going to be kind to yourself. You're going to be very gentle with yourself through the whole process. So some things might require much deeper healing. Some things might even come up that you might not even know, right? So one thing is awareness. So you're becoming more aware. That's part of the inner work. And then, okay, once you become aware, what do I do with it, right? Actually, there's nothing to do with it. It's almost like you have to, like how Sapna said, it's really about getting out of your own way. It's like it's almost allowing the work to happen through you, in a sense, right?
And can I add something there, Harish?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. When you said this, I just realized. So Sapna, also don't think of it as only a linear journey where you either have to go through the entire thing with a coach and a buddy or yourself. You can go through it yourself. As and when you hit these, like when Harish said, the deeper things that emerge, you can absolutely say, just for that topic, I'm going to get a coach or I'm going to attend a workshop. And this might sound like serendipity, but whenever I have wanted a workshop on a particular topic or something, I have just found it coming. Somebody posts on LinkedIn or someone else. For example, I'm also, there's a dear friend. She also runs a lot of works, TA-based, Aruna Gopakumar. Some of you might have heard her. If you're in Bangalore and she does some online things, she also doesn't have time for one-on-one coaching, but she has coaches, right? So for me, and I'm just giving my experience here, right? So earlier this year, I got stuck on one thing. And I was like, okay, what is this? Like, I was hitting this Navgati, right? That's her organization, right? And she'll just be doing different workshops. And then it's okay, Aruna is doing like a half-day workshop on that topic. It was great. This is great. And I just signed up. And I did have this big breakthrough there with that, right? So also look out for that. Just be spontaneous, playful, start with your inner work journey and whatever the workshops are. Sometimes I just find things on YouTube. Just like that, I'm looking because like, let's say like when Hari said, you recognize, okay, inner critique is very high or impulse, this part, right? Just even like, I don't know, for me, it seems like they're coming on my feed automatically. Maybe this is the whole data thing that, it's reading. I'm talking to my sis about it. And then Google overhears and YouTube shows this to me. It could be that, or it could be serendipity. Or I have only looked it up sometime, but I do find the resources on those nuggets. So you can deep dive, right? Just like you start getting fitter and then you say, okay, fine, I need vitamin C or I need vitamin B12, and you can go consulting just for that.
Okay, thank you.
But don't stop.
Can I jump in here, Ramya?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. So Ramya, she mentioned a lot of books, so that got me started with the reading. And then, as she mentioned, serendipity. So a lot of books came up on my Audible feed. A lot of things came up on my LinkedIn profile where people were recommending books. So that made me read so much, and I'm now seeing a lot of common elements to the coaching, to some of the books. So, and they're all covered in the modules. So once you start seeing those, you can keep going back and forth between the modules as and when, kind of it hits you. And maybe you need to focus here. Like for me, the money module made me think of, I was able to link it with self-worth and self-love. I don't know how many of you would be able to do that. But for me, and now I'm focusing on self-love.
Very strong connection, yeah.
So that's how it works. And, like Harish put it, the life alchemy, it truly is life alchemy. So that's how it worked for me. And when Ramya says, been there, done that, a lot of times it's just that, you don't feel alone. It's so much relatable stuff and you're able to kind of do that. So definitely do this. Or maybe follow the entire sequence once and then go back and forth. That's how I did it. And I read a lot, essentially. So I could share my Kindle list with you guys if that helps.
Yeah, do that, Pratibha, do that. Awesome, right? And I think that's how this community will grow also, right? We can all help. The resources will come in. There's so many people doing similar work in different names. We just want to be on our journey and keep receiving the help.
And even on LinkedIn, there are a lot of people who are doing, certain things in certain areas in terms of they, just webinars and, a little bit of coaching. Like I came across another workshop on productivity. It was a 3-week thing, but that helped me a lot. So, it's like once you start on this, take the first step and then, just the next step keeps reappearing in front of you.
Yeah, don't get overwhelmed with 10 modules, so many things. Just start somewhere. It's best to just keep moving, okay? No overwhelm. Gauri, for you, darling, lots going on, just no overwhelm. Just start one step. Yeah? Okay, guys, I'm just going to glance at the chat because I've not been looking at it and see if there's anything I need to address there. Okay, I think we're good. Okay, guys, should we call it a day? Happy Inner Independence Day to you. Happy Inner Sovereignty to you. We'll use this WhatsApp group if you need to use it to find accountability buddies. I'll open up so that everyone can post. This is the new group, right? For people who've signed up now. And if you want to say that, hey, I'm looking for an accountability buddy, just ask, and maybe someone can put a thumbs up and you can get on a call, see if that works for you. And I'm sure the right people will find you can create some pods or do it on your own. Up to you.
Ramya, what's the difference between the objective of this group and the Facebook group?
And the which one group? Which
Facebook.
Group?
Facebook.
Actually, this group is just supposed, the WhatsApp is just supposed to be for logistics like this. And the Facebook group is for people like, like Pratibha said, sharing resources, Kindles. I found this program, I have these questions, deeper engagements, because things get lost. I mean, WhatsApp doesn't lend itself to things. So deeper engagement, topic-based conversations for that. And I think WhatsApp works better for things like give me a quick thumbs up, who wants to connect with whom, because you can directly ping on the number and stuff like that.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, people. Have a lovely day and have fun with the program. If you ever hit any logistical kind of, I can't access this, that, and all, there's an email ID. You should have got an email, contact@craftingourlives.com. You can write there and then we'll rope in the Graphy tech support team and get whatever needs to be resolved. You can also, if you're not getting a response or something, ping me on WhatsApp, but typically use email rather than WhatsApp. Things get lost on WhatsApp and I go into overwhelm. So if it's on email, it's there. It will be attended to in 1, 2, or 3 days, and like nothing's getting lost in 2 or 3 days. Okay. Take care. Bye. Love you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.